When you also joined in IIM Ahmedabad, what surprised you the most?
The first year that we spend in an MBA, right? It's very rigorous. We do a lot of assignments. We prepare for the next day. We have a lot of internal competition. We do class participation and all.
Was there a moment at IIM Ahmedabad that fundamentally changed how you think about business or leadership?
We have this curriculum method in IIM Ahmedabad where we do case studies, right? And these are case studies of big companies, how they started, how they built, how they failed, and all.
The guest for today's podcast is Sanjana Kolli, where currently she is working as a management consultant at Tata Strategy. You are in an institute where there is huge amount of competition. So in that competition, have you ever compared yourself with others?
I realized after a few months that everyone have their own career path there.
What kind of questions one should have to ask themselves before choosing the domain?
You are interested in a job profile based on the parameters that I just mentioned, and second, whether it is suitable for you and whether you will get a role there.
So why do management consultants paid more?
You are expected to deliver all the time. You are expected to be well prepared from day one, and then you have to give in long hours.
What it takes a BTech biotechnology gold medalist to solve billion-dollar business problems. So for this podcast, I brought you a guest who did her BTech in biotechnology from NIT Jalandhar as a gold medalist. Then she stepped into IIM Ahmedabad, which is a prestigious institute for management for her MBA. And then she launched her career at BCG. And currently, she was driving business strategy as a management consultant at Tata Strategy. And she is helping organizations to navigate complex problems and to make impactful decisions. So the guest for today's podcast is Sanjana Kolli, where currently she is working as a management consultant at Tata Strategy. So in this podcast, we will find out her complete journey. So if you are someone who are preparing for MBAs or if you are someone who are preparing for consulting roles, make sure you watch this entire podcast. So without any further ado, let's get started. So hi Sanjana, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me here.
Yeah, same here. How are you?
I'm doing great. What about you?
Yeah, I'm also doing good. Firstly, I would like to thank you so much for giving your valuable time for me as well as for my audience. Thank you so much.
It's great to be here, and I would do my best to answer your questions for your audience also.
So Sanjana, we will start this podcast with your introduction. So can you briefly introduce about yourself to our audience?
Sure. So, as you have given a brief introduction about me, I'm Sanjana and I have a background in BTech in biotechnology from NIT Jalandhar. That was my graduation, and then post that I decided to pursue MBA because I wanted to go move to more towards the industry side and the business side of the market. So that's why I decided to go for MBA, and currently my job role is in strategy and management consulting. I have worked with top tier companies like BCG, currently working with Tata Strategic Management Group, and I help companies, legacy companies, Indian companies, even clients outside India to solve this strategy and business and management problem.
Sanjana, basically this podcast is divided into three parts. So in the first part, we will talk about your life at IIM Ahmedabad, and second, what are the career opportunities that an MBA graduate will have, and the third is currently your life as a management consultant at Tata Strategy. So first, we will talk about your life at IIM Ahmedabad. So if you look into your journey, you did your BTech, that too in biotechnology at NIT Jalandhar, and then without taking any break, you got admission at IIM Ahmedabad. So in this transition from BTech to your MBA, like what is the biggest mindset shift you have?
Right. So I would say it happened somewhere around like second year of my engineering, right? When I got into into engineering, I had this mindset of that engineering is kind of a graduation which will help me build a good network. I would be around best of the minds in the country and would get to learn more, right? And my core branch, which was biotechnology, was also very intriguing in the sense that it had a lot to do on the research end. So it was never a case that I didn't like engineering, right? And that's why I was performing well also in my core branch, and scoring and all that was happening. I was doing internships in biotechnology also. But gradually, I realized that when it comes to my liking, it's not on the research end or it's not on the engineering end that I was always interested. When I made any, whenever I did any research or an experiment, say in biotechnology, I'll quote an example. One of the internship project I was doing was driving marine collagen from fish tissues, right? Now, it is a very intriguing experiment. However, I was always interested in how the end product will look like, right? When it goes to the market, who will be the right users, how will it scale, what economic benefit it can bring to any industry or a country. So I was always more intrigued or interested in that end, and that's how I decided and started exploring on various career opportunities that I can look forward to, right? It was also a decision point for me on how I want to look forward to my career, right? The potential options for me was to either continue in biotechnology and go in the research field, do an MTech, which would lead to a PhD, because the environment in India was not supportive of the sense that you do an MTech and you get a good job in biotechnology. You will have to do a PhD and you have to go into a research, which I was not that interested in. The other options was I do something completely different from my core, go into coding, learn coding and go for those jobs, because that was the booming job market, right? And then this was the third option, which was MBA, which first it matched with my interest also, and then it showed the potential of getting a very good job out there, right? And I can explore different industries. I don't have to stick to one. So that's how I listed my options, talked to few seniors in my college who have approached all of these options, and then drill it down to the one that I wanted to go. So around end of third year of my college, I was very decisive on this on going for MBA, and then that I started preparing for CAT. I started joining weekend batches for CAT coaching and all, and did a lot of self preparations. And I was very clear that I will not take in biotechnology job and then switch to an MBA, because I didn't feel any benefit it would give to me, right? Because a biotechnology job would be properly a research job, and taking any other job would have not added any benefit. So I decided I will directly go out of engineering into MBA, and that's how I started preparing while I was in engineering.
You don't want your career in engineering, then you have decided to shift from engineering to management, and finally after your preparation you got admission at IIM Ahmedabad. So if we look back into your MBA, like you have completed almost 3 years back, mostly what people think about top IIMs, IIM ABC, majority of the people think if we join IIM ABC we will get like a very good placements. So majorly people will join IIMs for that. So when you also joined in IIM Ahmedabad, like what surprised you the most?
You're very right. Like, most people come in with that intention of that you'll get a good job and you will be an ideal candidate in the market, right? And if you go to an IIM also, the 70 to 80% people there are engineers coming from top IITs and NITs and whatnot, right? And they're the one even best at cracking CAT also, right? So I'll say that I had the understanding of that MBA would add a batch on my profile, and It will help me be ready for the market. And I personally, I didn't have any examples around me, right? In my family or my friend circle, I didn't have. It was all my research that I talked to few seniors or saw in the market what kind of profiles are growing, right? All these, with new startups coming into the market, you will see profiles like growth managers, strategy, and business development terms coming into the market. So and who are the people taking these roles? These are the MBA grads. That's how I got interested. I was looking forward to it. However, when you get into, fortunately, if you get into a top tier MBA college, it not only adds like a badge to your profile, it helps you learn a lot of things, right? And first thing first is that the people coming into the college are coming from various backgrounds, right? And I will say I was the newbie there, and who haven't had any experience of working and directly out of engineering college. So I must have contributed the least to my other fellow members there, right? But there were people who had years of experience. So when you sit down and talk to them, even for a group discussion or general topic also, right? What is happening in the market, or what products, or how the market is booming, you will get so much knowledge from them and so many insights from them, that even the network that you get in the college is very nice, right? And for me as a fresher, it was like another gift or something beneficial that I got out of this college, right? People always say that IIMs also give you a very good alumni network. That is also there. Third thing would be the curriculum. For me specifically, IIM's curriculum was very rigorous. It was very beneficial to be trained for the outside world. That is what we used to joke about also in the college, that IMA prepares you for the outside world. And it is very true. The first year that we spend in an MBA, right, it's very rigorous. We do a lot of assignments, we prepare for the next day, we have a lot of internal competition, we do class participation and all. And when you go outside into outside world, like when you join big consulting firms or other PVC firms, you meet that competition very easily. It is very easy for you to adjust in that tough environment, right? So all this kind of atmosphere, your curriculum, your colleagues, the people you talk to, how your everyday schedule in the college, it's all preparing you for what comes next. It's not just a badge or a tag on your profile.
Well said, Sanjana. So, in this question only, you have mentioned that IIM Ahmedabad will prepare you for the outside world. If you remember your whole MBA journey, was there a moment at IIM Ahmedabad so that fundamentally changed how you think about business or leadership?
Interesting question. So I would say when you are into the college, or when you get into the college, probably for me, I'll talk about myself because I went as a fresher. I didn't have an understanding of first the number of roles that you get, right? And what are the different verticals of a business. I couldn't have known about it. I couldn't have studied, or because coming from engineering, you only talk about the first A part, which is your research and manufacturing, that part of the value chain, right? Then there is the entire other part of the value chain, which is pre-sales, sales, operations, after service, and all that, right? And we don't have understanding about how a company scales a small product that is made first in a pilot line, then in a manufacturing plant. What is the process to scale it, right? What is the process to take it to the end customer? All this knowledge, me as a fresher, I never had. I just knew that I had to work hard, I had to get into IIM, and then everything would go easy. But it is very interesting for me to, like, as an MBA student, that I got to understand all these things, and then you choose, right? It's very simple if I put it in this format only, right? If how I describe the value chain, you get an MBA candidate can get job in any of these verticals, right? It if it's a pure tech product, you can be a product manager for that, right? Yeah. And then when it goes to the customers, you can be in the sales team for it. Even before the sales team comes in, there is how to take that product into the market. So there is a GTM team or a strategy team, then sales team, and then after sales team, and consumer research, competition benchmarking. All these things come into that value chain only, and that's how you learn about it. And if to answer your question specifically, when you said if there was one moment when I realized how it was, no, it was not one moment. Every day I would say it was an interesting insight. And we have this curriculum method in IIM Ahmedabad where we do case studies, right? And these are case studies of big companies, how they started, how they built, how they failed, and all. And where would you get those content, first of all, and where will you sit with such good professors and best sharpest mind in the country to discuss on that, so that it gets engraved in your head for future, right? So all that thing happened every day of my IMA journey. It was not just one moment.
Okay. So, Sanjana, if we look into IIM Ahmedabad, like which is the top institute for management. So, in that top institute, where people who have secured like a top ranks or top achievers will come for the admission, and as you said in the previous question, like students will come from diverse backgrounds. So, you are in a institute where there is huge amount of competition. So, in that competition, have you ever compared yourself with others? If not, like how did you avoid comparing yourself with others?
Right. Very, very nice question, I would say, because it so happened, and I would say I personally also went through it at like very initial stage of the college. So when you go to these college, right, everyone is topper in their undergrad or their school, or best performer in their state or their hometown or what, and all these people are getting together in one room. And when you're put face to face for, say, a discussion in the classroom, we used to have this class participation thing, right, where when we read a case study, we will have to give inputs while the professor is teaching it, right? You will see everyone very fighting to give their point, and they're not just random points that they're giving. They have really thought through it, right? And you do feel that very at the very start, getting into IMA was not the hardest part. It is surviving it, right? And it is surviving it because you need to keep your calm. You don't have to feel pressurized because of the peer pressure, and everyone. I realized after a few months that everyone have their own career path there, right? Because in my batch there were people with 11 years of experience also, right? And I was there with 0 years. So even when we pass out after MBA, what he will get as a job and what I will get as a job would be different. What he will want as a job and what I will want as a job will also be different, right? I was at that stage that I haven't worked till now, and immediately after MBA give me a job where I have to prove myself and I will work really hard. And but there were people who had the mindset that they want a more relaxed setup, more, yes, contributing, but relative a better work-life balance. I was not thinking of work-life balance at that time. So different people have different career paths to look forward. That is one thing a person should realize. And they have different backgrounds also, right? Like a person who has an engineering in computer science or electronics would, for them it would be easier to get into a PM role, right? Because understanding a technical understanding will help them or support them into that role, right? um, People who have already worked in an operations role in their past, if they join say general management or an operations role after MBA, it would be easier for them. So people also come into MBA sometimes because they want to switch, right? Switch their careers. So a very natural switch is going from engineering to an MBA role. But the other switches, if you're already into other areas of the value chain, not only engineering, if you have already been a sales manager, say, but now you don't want to continue in sales, you want to go into operations or you want to go into strategy, MBA also helps you with that. So first thing first, you it happens when you get there, but you shouldn't compare yourself. I realized it after probably few months into when I was preparing for my internship, right? So I made my CV, and we have to get it reviewed by our seniors. So a lot of my seniors commented that it was a very good CV and that I would get a lot of consulting shortlists. But and I was also looking forward to it. As a fresher, it was a very good thing. Usually freshers doesn't get top tier consulting shortlists for the summer internship, right? So I was happy to listen to their comments, but when my CV actually went in for application, I didn't actually get those shortlists. I got only one shortlist. So it is heartbreaking also, but then you realize that, oh, this is the competition, so you do best in what opportunity you get. So I got one shortlist, but I put all my efforts to convert that shortlist, right? And now then I'm not feeling pressurized that, oh, I didn't get MBB ka shortlist, I got an Accenture ka shortlist, so there is something wrong in me. No, there are other people who deserve MBB ka shortlist, so they got it and you didn't at that point. And you work through your MBA college to achieve it, right? You do case competitions, you score well, and then when it comes to the finals, you can match there, right? So when you enter MBA, you are all at different scales. But when you pass your MBA by doing good scores or doing good competition, acing in your internship, you can come at par with people who earlier had a better CV or better profile than you to get into the same level of job.
So Sanjana, till now we have talked about your life at IIM Ahmedabad. Now we will talk about the career opportunities after MBA. So generally the MBA aspirants know like there are multiple domains after MBA. Like mostly people know there are few career options. So can you please explain about what is the actual difference between consulting, finance, marketing, general management and product roles? And also can you please tell us like what kind of questions one should have to ask themselves before choosing the domain?
Sure. So I think it is a very common thing that any person who gets into an MBA college would have to start looking for and start understanding from their day one. And there are a number of factors that play in also, right? Uh, People get interested in a job because of the money, uh, because of the title role that they will get. That those are the main topics, main parameters. Else they can be work life balance, as I said, or job location, or what kind of company they will get to work into. So these parameters play in when people start deciding on what they want to do, and of course what was their previous background and if they want to continue or shift from it, right? So as you rightly said, these are the roles. You can go into finance, you can go into strategy, you can go into operations, you can go into journal management, sales, right? And the important part here is to understand, one, if you are interested in a job profile based on the parameters that I just mentioned, and second, whether it is suitable for you and whether you will get a role there, right? Not everyone would be welcome for everything. That is also important to understand, right? So if I, coming from an biotech background without any work try to apply for a product management role, I might not land up getting a very good job or role, right? Compared to as I said, computer science or an electronics background person who has already worked in a IT company, have worked on IT projects, then apply for a product management role. So those factors do play in, right? Similarly for finance, I would say. Um finance role range from PVC, IB, right? And there also it is a scale. Not everyone could get into these roles. People, like, there are very high ranker CAs which join your batch, right? And they are very limited of these finance roles also. So their first preference would be these CAs or people who have done a lot of finance related certifications and all, right? Or have a previous background, not CA, if they have done their BA in finance or something, right? So always they would be preferred compared to an engineering in any other domain, right? And then you prepare also differently for each of the roles. Say for a fresher like me, when I went in, when I heard and studied about everything, I understood for a fresher like me, the potential roles that were open was a consulting. uh, you need a very good profile for it to land a top tier consulting firm. um, when I say a good profile, they look into some spikes in your profile, right? Which can be like your undergrad performance, it can be your internship performance, or you have been a consistent scorer or have done some great projects. So you need to make your profile strong in that way. Prepare for case studies, of course. The other possible role for a fresher like me was sales, going into sales, right? And that is because a lot of companies take new joinee trainees into sales role, and they want to build them ground up in their companies, right? All these companies like ITC and all, HUL, they will hire new freshers and then they'll build them in their companies. So these people are then nurtured to become higher, like grow higher in the same company, right? So they tend to take in freshers. So sales is a potential role that a fresher like me could have looked into. Journal management, these are roles with some legacy companies where they directly want to hire someone higher up the position who can manage a bigger team under it, right? So they sometimes require people with already some experience. So maybe a difficult choice for a fresher to get in. However, there are some GM roles where companies, say Aditya Birla or others, they have their own in-house programs where they want to train people and again grow them in the own industry, or their entire conglomerate group, right? Like Tata has TAS program and all, right? So there, it is open to all. So if someone from sales is thinking into switching a profile, can always look into such roles. So that's how these different profiles require different kind of preparation also. If they will filter, you will be filtered into different roles. As I said, not ev- not everyone is welcome into all of these roles, and then when you have decided what is your target, you have to prepare separately for them also, right? Finance roles, in these roles the hiring process is very stringent. They go through multiple rounds of interviews, like sometimes 9 or 10 rounds also. So you need to be well prepared for that. For consulting roles, you prepare for case studies, right? And for GM roles, they do a lot of group discussions and all. For sales roles, there are sales related case studies. And you also need to know a lot about the industry and sales roles, which might not be very much required in consulting role because it can vary across industry, right? So you prepare differently. You first decide where your interest lies, and it should coincide into the industry side demand also, right? Like me going as a fresher, I couldn't have decided, oh, I want to get into a VC firm and then fight for it, because it is a battle that I might not win, right? So it doesn't make sense. So it depends on your profile, then how you prepare for it. I would not say that it's complete no, that if someone very new wants to get into completely different role, it is not complete no, but then the amount of preparation or amount of rejection that you might have to face would be different, right?
So Sanjana, till now we have talked about various career opportunities after MBA. So now we will talk about your life as a management consultant. So in our personal call, you have said that, so right after your MBA, you have joined BCG. So after joining BCG, within 1 week, they have given you a challenge. So till now, till at that moment, you don't have any experience about consulting. So you have to learn everything at that point. So how did you quickly learn about how to solve that challenge, and how did that solving the challenge helped you to build your confidence in consulting?
So, of course, like when you join MBB or any top tier consulting firms, you would be given 1 or 2 weeks of training, uh, which is quite basic training, I would say, because till then also you don't know how the real case scenario will look like, right? Working with people, and you're still working with the same college colleagues or batchmates that were there, right? So you still don't feel the real thing in the training also. It's only when you go and land up on the job, on the field or on the site, you realize that this is the work, this is how it is to be done. So I would say, as I was saying, the MBA journey had prepared you well, that you will not stress about it, right? You would be ready for the challenge. So you're prepared well because of the MBA journey. The first thing first is to bring yourself up to speed about that industry, about that knowledge, which is very important. And that is what I also did, right? My first job was actually, I was put on a case which was in Bangalore. So I was hired for Gurgaon location, and I had to travel to Bangalore, and the client location was there. And it doesn't happen in MBA that MBB or sorry, in top tier consulting firm, that they will give you someone to cover you in your work, right? Mostly every person has to hold some modules on them. It might be a small module if you're new joining, but eventually you have to hold bigger responsibility. So you can take guidance, you can reach out to the people in the team, but at the end you have to take ownership. Ownership is very important, and ownership, you have to do your homework, as we say, right? You need to be well prepared when you go even every day in the office, because from the very first day in consulting, the client doesn't know that it's your first day. The client, and they are not expected to think in that way, that oh, she's a new joinee, usko kya aata hoga. No, you are expected from the client to perform at the same level as anyone who had 1 or 2 years in that same company, right? So please don't go into in with the mindset that it will pass or you will get enough time to adjust and all. Go well prepared, I would say. Well prepared from your end, and when there are gaps, there is no hesitation to reach out. First, reach out to your own colleagues, your own teammates. It's better to do that than directly going and reaching out to the client for any help, because every case or every setup is different. Sometimes the clients are helpful, sometimes they are not. But of course, and these consulting companies do make a structure in a way that they will tag one mentor to you, right? And the mentor might not be in your same case team, but might be from your own college, right? So a senior from your own college. So it's always helpful to go and reach out to them if you face anything or any difficulty in adjusting or learning and all, right? But it is of course expected out of an MBA grad that they will themselves bring themselves up to the mark, right? And up to speed with whatever is going on. Gaps, of course, can always be filled with help.
Nicely said, Sanjana. So I was hearing this from a long time. That is, management consultant will be paid more in terms of salaries. So according to your experience, why management consultant will be paid more? Like due to their intelligence, or due to their structured thinking, or due to their communication, or due to their stakeholder management? So why do management consultants paid more?
The pay comes in with a lot of responsibility and ownership, as I said. If you join, say, I'm just benchmarking it with some other role, right? If you join, say, a legacy company as at a manager post in any department, say strategy or sales or anything, you will still be given some time to adjust, learn, to make yourself comfortable, right? And mostly legacy companies will not have any stringent action taken against you if you don't perform, and right, they do give you time to adjust, learn, fit yourself, or learn at the job. For a management consultant, as I said, it is war from day one, right? And you need to be well prepared for it. That is one of the fact. There is, you can never underperform. That is also very important. Most of these top tier MBB or management consulting companies have this up or out policy, which means either you get promoted or you are asked to leave. When I say asked to leave, it is not that they fire you or something, but they help you also to make a transition. They have a lot of internal team which is helping you to shift and all. It's kind of firing, but then you can easily transition. However, but this policy is there, right? Up or out. So you are expected to deliver all the time. You are expected to be well prepared all from day one, and then the job is very hectic in the sense that you have to give in long hours compared to other jobs. There can be 12, 14, 16 hours of work also, right? And sometimes the weekends are also not very clean. It depends sometimes on the firm to firm, cases to cases, how your manager wants to run the case and all that. There are multiple factors, but you can't say no to it, right? Because inside that firm also there is a lot of competition. So say if there is this up or out policy and you are a person who thinks, no, I want better work life balance, and you started thinking in that way, oh, these long hours, I don't want to do it and all. You will be under that pressure, peer, I will not say peer pressure, but because you will see a lot of people in your group working hard and putting in those hours, you will be pushed yourself to put in those, right? Else you will feel that I will lag behind, or it might come up in my review and all. So that is all is there. So there is constant stress, or not stress but a lot of workload, I will say. There's constant competition inside the firm itself. uh, of course the stakeholder management is very important thing, because compared to other jobs where you work with internal company teams, there is no repercussions, there are no bad repercussions of what you do, right? Say I am working for ABC company and I am in their strategy team, and I am working with their product team. If worst happens, right, if I do anything wrong and it ends up with the product team, what will happen? Some internal conflicts, they will resolve it themselves, right? There would not be any big repercussions. I've seen examples where if you miss a deadline or something, it might affect the end client's project, and then you can lose money, right? So because there is high ownership, high responsibility, more stringent work hours, you more is expected out of you. That's why you're paid well also to match it all up.
Sanjana, this is the final question for this podcast. So, you did your BTech in biotechnology, where you have secured gold medal in that. After that, you have joined IIM Ahmedabad for your MBA, and during college placements, you have cracked BCG and joined BCG, and you are currently working at Tata Strategy as a management consultant. So, you have a straightforward journey. So recently, I have saw a post in LinkedIn just 2 or 3 days back, where in that post it was mentioned that around 70 to 75% of the MBA graduates did not get the job offer letter. So, what is the best piece of advice you will give to someone who are planning to join MBA and who are planning to aim for top roles just like consulting?
Right. So I've also heard about that post and read about it. So it's very, I'll say it's very unfortunate in our country that people sometimes do degrees just for the sake of it, right? They don't have clarity about what college to go for, what degree from which college is important or good, right? And when you say 70 to 80%, it is this lot. And it not only happens at MBA level, it also happens at engineering level. And so I will not comment on the entire crowd, but I will say this, right? It's very important, and unfortunately it is so also in India, that college is the place where you get placements from, and companies also go to colleges only for placements, unlike other markets like Europe and all, where there is no college placement as such, and you apply in the open market and you get job there. um, india India doesn't have that system. So because companies are reaching out to the college decides where you land up, right? So it's very important to go for a good college. Then the course that you take, that also decides where you land up. And with the tier of college increasing, the salary package also depends on that. So it's very important to not do degrees because everyone is doing. It's very important to do the right degree and from the right college. So if I talk about the bigger crowd, My suggestion would be look where the industry is going, right? So lot of with the AI coming in and it getting embedded into all kind of products and all kind of industry, that is the space to be. uh, if you ask me 2 or 3 years back, there were no AI related courses in MBA. Leave MBA, not even in engineering also. And I was recently talking to people from my college. Like, I was doing a discussion with students there and professors there, and I understood even engineering college, some of them have made AI courses compulsory for all the batches, right? Branches, irrespective of that. So that is the field. That is the field to be right now. And I probably the reason of 70 to 80% people not getting jobs right now is that only, right? all of know all of us know that AI will take a lot of jobs. So you build skills which either support it, right, or complements it. So that is very important. So it's not people shouldn't do MBA just for the sake of getting the degree and because it's the hype in the market, because you should see the ratio and proportion in the market, right? Compared to engineering jobs, MBA jobs would be lesser, right? So if the entire engineering crowd goes into the funnel of MBA, they will not end up with the right job or even with the job. So it's very important to not blindly follow the crowd. It's very important to understand uh, where everything is going. So how I said it in the previous thing also, right? Always whenever you're deciding any path for yourself, it's very important to understand your liking or interest, but it is also important to understand where you will fit well, right? We can't always go for what we like in the world, because then we might end up into failure also if there is no scope there, or if it is not a right fit for us. So the right fit is also important. That is my advice to the 70-80% crowd. And when I talk about, say, people who have very clearly decided that MBA is important, I would say then decide where to get it, where to do it from, right? Whether it should be an Indian college, whether you want to go abroad. It depends on the phase of your career also. Then some personal choices also, right? Some people can't leave family, so they don't want to do MBA abroad, or it's financially it is little burden for them. And there can be a lot many reasons, right? So it's very important to understand where to do it from, what course to pick up, and it becomes more and more important as the competition is increasing.
Sanjana, thank you so much once again. You have given like a plenty of information, and you have given some of your valuable time for me as well as for my audience. Thank you so much once again.
Great. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I hope that I answered all the queries well so that it is helpful for other people. And I'm always ready to, if anyone wants to reach out on any other questions and queries, I'm always available on LinkedIn.
So, guys, I will share Sanjana's LinkedIn profile in the description. So, if you want to reach out to Sanjana, you can click the link in the description. Sanjana, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So this is all about Sanjana's journey. I hope you got new information through this podcast. If you got new information through this podcast, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications just by hitting that subscribe button. So this is your Joshua Kumlakar signing off.